Present.
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 Present. Present.
Thank you, Ms. Beast. My name is Barry Carroll. I've been with McPherson and Jacobson for about 7 years, started in 2018. Let me back up and tell you a little bit personally about me. I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Been again working with McPherson and Jacobson for about 7 years. I'm married. My wife and I just celebrated our 46th wedding anniversary. We have 3 daughters, 5 grandkids, and I was in education as a superintendent. I actually started as a teacher and a coach and moved into assistant principal position, and then principal position, director, assistant superintendent, superintendent. So pretty much my whole career was spent in education. And even after retiring as a superintendent in 2011, I worked for 2 companies in Atlanta who are education companies. And so I've been in education all my life, and I love this work, love what we do, love helping school districts find talented individuals who want to be superintendents, or maybe they're already a superintendent. Our purpose today is to since we haven't met, is basically go through what our process is, how we handle this, how we do this. We'd like to have the conversation. We're not here just pouring information to you. So anytime along the way we're talking, if there's something you have a question about, we'll be happy to answer that. We just like it to be open and informal, basically. And we want you to have a clear understanding of who we are and what we do. We wanted to be here face to face. You know, sometimes we can do Zoom meetings, but that's not the same type of meeting as here face to face and getting to know you and see that we're real people with real lives, and we have a purpose in what we do. And with McPherson and Jacobson, we recruit talent. Dr. White and I, and all of our consultants across the nation, we know many people, and we spread the word about your school district and what you're all about and what you're looking for. And we recruit individuals. We'll be on the phone a lot talking with people who might be interested in this position. So I'll stop there with me, and let me say this, because there's others here, someone else here who has children in Tuscaloosa. I'm a graduate of Alabama A&M University, which is an HBCU. Played football there for 4 years, and then went to the University of Alabama, got 2 masters and my doctorate from the University of Alabama, and then live in Birmingham. So I understand there's some Roll Tide fans in here as well. So, Deborah?
Sure. And good morning again to everyone here. And thank you all for having us in your beautiful city today. I shared earlier that I'm from the Atlanta area, and I'm very familiar with Jacksonville, Florida. But we flew into Jacksonville, North Carolina, and that was a first for me. So we certainly enjoyed that and enjoyed our stay here on yesterday evening. As I said, I'm from Georgia. I've been in Georgia all my life. I grew up right outside of Athens in a little small town called Elberton, Georgia, which is it's a bedroom community of Athens. So yes, I know all about the Bulldogs, but when I got ready to go to college, I skipped over Athens and went on to the big city of Atlanta, because everything that I did from elementary to a high school student was at UGA, summer camps, and you name it, I did it there. As a lifelong educator, I've had many opportunities as an educational leader. I've probably done just about every job you can think of, from the classroom to becoming an elementary principal, and then on to the district office as an assistant superintendent, area assistant superintendent, where I supervised principals, and then on to become the deputy superintendent for curriculum and instruction, where I learned more that I want to share with you about both the district side and the school side when it comes to curriculum and instruction. I've had the opportunity with McPherson and Jacobson to be a team lead, as Barry is the team lead for this search. I've had the opportunity to lead a team in another search as well, and I have served on several teams across the country, looking for the best leader for that school district. One thing I want to share with you, like Barry said, we recruit talent. We look far and wide to make sure that we can match candidates to your needs and your goals and your vision for this school district. So we don't try to just bring in a lot of qualified people. We look to bring in the best qualified person to meet the needs here in this school district. We love this work. Both of us, our backgrounds mirror each other at every step along the educational journeys that the both of us have had. When I retired in 2014, I actually went out on my own as an educational consultant and then started working for the Georgia Department of Education in school improvement. So that's where I stayed for about 8 years until I began working for McPherson and Jacobson. So both of us bring a lot of on-the-ground experience when it comes to educational leadership. And we are very excited to have the opportunity to work with you to bring your next superintendent here to Craven County.
Thank you. Sure, thank you. Hmm, sure, thank you. Thank you. And as I said earlier, we like to be informal, and I have a doctorate, but I don't get hung up on that. So you can just call me Barry. That's fine. And Dr. White, she's the same. We call each other Barry and Deborah, and you do the same. Feel comfortable with us doing that. So we'll skip the formalities in that area. On behalf of McPherson and Jacobson, I do want to say thank you. I know you had the opportunity and probably considered other search firms. We are a national search firm, and we do many, many searches, and I'll get into that in just a second. But Dr. White and I have worked most recently on Cumberland County here in North Carolina and had a very, very successful search with them. Had a great board to work with. Their board attorney was great. He was their point of contact. We'll talk about point of contact here in just a few minutes. And there's some decisions that you all, or we need feedback on some decisions today. Not that you have to vote on them. I know you probably won't do that, but we need some feedback from you on some certain things, like who will be in charge, who will we communicate with on a regular basis. So with that, go to the next slide, please. At McPherson and Jackson, we've been here doing this type of work since 1991. We've done many, many searches. Our whole core value is around that we believe that every student should be entitled to a high-quality education. We believe quality education is dependent upon quality leadership. If you don't have good leadership, things slip through the cracks. Things don't happen that should happen. Things happen that shouldn't happen. And so we believe in bringing strong leaders before you, and we look forward to doing that. And I'll say this later too. We don't select superintendents, just so you know. We don't hire superintendents. We bring strong candidates before you and help you in the process of determining who is the best candidate for your district. Our mission is to ensure each search results in quality education, quality leadership for educational excellence. Next slide, please. So we're well established, leading national search. If you asked across the nation, not just in North Carolina, but across the nation, who are the top three, we're in the top three leading national search firms. Some say we're one, some say we're two, some say we're three, but we're right in the mix with all of those national search firms. We have over 130 consultants in the U.S. Dr. White and I were fortunate and happy to be selected to work with you on this particular search. We have national recruiters and local consultants that support our searches. So not only do Dr. White and I know about this search, we have 130 consultants out there across the nation who now know about this search and will be telling, and we will be in contact. I text, email. I was a superintendent for 10 years. Got to know through many organizations, many superintendents across the nation, stay in touch with them to this day. And so I will continually text them, call them, email them, and say, if you know of someone who might be a strong candidate, here's what Craven County is looking for. And if you know someone who might fit this, let me know. Be happy to talk with them. You'll probably be happy to know, and I don't know how they got my name, but I've already been contacted by several people about this position. I'm like, how did they know that? And it doesn't matter. What I basically told them is we're coming here on the 26th, and after the 26th, I'll be happy to call them back and tell them everything that I found out when we were here to help them make a decision. Transparency with clients and their constituents. We are very transparent as a search firm. We'll tell you as we go through this process of vetting applicants, for example, if we find something in their background that we think is questionable, we're not going to hide it. We're going to tell you about it. Now, there may be some extenuating circumstances around that, that particular person may have been in a situation, there may have been some media or whatever. If there's something like that, we tell you, and then you as a board have to determine if that's something that you're, can you move forward with this person or not? You may not want to move forward, but we'll make you aware of that. We have authentic engagement with stakeholders. We'll talk a lot about that. And we're going to ask you to help us identify, or ask you to identify some of those stakeholder groups that you want us to meet with. I know it sounds like I'm being kind of random now, but this will all come together in one package, and you'll kind of understand what our process is as we move forward. But we'll meet with those stakeholders and get information back from those stakeholders on your district and what they think about your district, and what are the great things about your district, what are the issues, problems, and concerns. What will the new superintendent coming in, what will they be facing? What is it that they need to know in order to be successful? A track record of successful placements. I have been with with McPherson Jacobson, as I've said, for 7 years, and every superintendent search that I've worked on, that person is still in place except for one, and he, after 4 years, decided he had already retired once from another state, and he decided to retire again. So he left in good standing. It wasn't an issue. So all the ones that I've worked on those searches, they're still there. So we have a track record of a proven track record of successful candidates and successful placements. Next slide, please. As search consultants, we assist you as the board. We work for you as the board. And I will say this, what we're going to present to you today is our process, McPherson Jacobs process, but it's your search, okay? So along the way, if there are things you have questions about, or you think we need to tweak something, or could we consider doing this or that, we work with you on that. We're with you all the way. Is that the slide we were on? I'm sorry. Can we back up one? Oh, okay, it was the one. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Next slide. So we follow a structured, transparent, and objective process from the beginning to the end. We set detailed timelines. You have a draft at your desk there of the timelines that we are suggesting. Notice at the top, I think it says tentative and flexible, which means if some of those dates don't work for you, we'll change those. We'll work with you on those dates. That's just a draft. Engaging with stakeholders and developing search criteria. You as the board today, and Dr. White will lead that activity, will tell us some of the criteria that you're looking for. What is it you're looking for in a superintendent? Because as we build the ad to advertise this position, applicants are going to want to know what are they looking for, and we need that search criteria. So make sure we match with them. designing applications and interview forms, postings, advertisements, graphics, interview questions, and other materials that we need during this process. So we're in the process of doing some of those things already. Next slide. The consultants assist the board with recruiting and vetting the candidates. We recruit. Some individuals apply that we didn't recruit, obviously. They'll see the ad and they'll apply, but we reach out to superintendents, those who maybe are aspiring superintendents, who we think are cutting edge, those who are rising stars, if you will, and we encourage them to apply. No guarantees. We don't make any promises. We tell them all the information. We're transparent with the candidates. We're transparent with the board on both sides, and then hopefully we'll have a large number to apply. We vet those candidates with that screening process of that criteria. Whatever criteria is determined that you're looking for, we match that against the candidate. We verify resumes, conduct reference checks and background checks. We talk to, when they, on their resume, if they put someone's a reference for them, you know this just like I do. I'm not going to put anyone on my resume that doesn't like me or knows something about me or whatever. So we dig deeper than that. We ask questions like, who's someone else? When we talk to a reference, who's someone else who knows this person who can give us some information about that person? And so it's interesting, some of the things that we find in some of the different perspectives. But we check that out, very thoroughly. We communicate directly with all the candidates through the process. They're anxious, they're interested, they want to know, and we communicate and provide them with the information that we can provide. There's some things we will not provide them along the way, but we provide them with timelines and when this is going to happen or that's going to happen. And when they're not selected, if they're not selected, we let them know that as well. Navigate open meeting requirements, advertising and posting rules, and ensuring confidentiality, and investigating and evaluating appropriate salaries and benefits, recruitment, moving expenses, contract terms. We'll work with you all on that, and your attorney, and you all, and that's, there's several questions that someone who is applying for this position will ask, and we'll get to some of those, and we need to know those answers. Next slide, please. We've conducted over 1,000 superintendent searches in 45 states. Again, we stand on the strength of our reference from previous searches and the individuals who've worked with us, and especially in those who've been successful. I've never had an unsuccessful superintendent search, quite honestly. Hopefully this won't be the first. I hope this will be just as successful as all the others that we've conducted. We pride ourselves on being flexible and customizing our search protocol to your needs and requests. I said that earlier. If there's something that you're like, well, could we think about doing it this way or that way? And our answer is going to be, this is the way we do it, but if there's a way that needs to be tweaked, we'll certainly look at that. Retention of candidates placed through McPherson and Jacobson search. Almost 80% of candidates hired remain in the same position in the last 5 years. And as I've already said, all the ones that I've been a part of, except one, are still there. And that's been quite a number of searches. Almost 60% of candidates hired remain in the same position in the last 10 years, and over 40% over the last 15 years. So generally, when we do the search and that person is hired by the board, they tend to stay there. And longevity is, in addition to leadership qualities, longevity, I believe, in school districts, and having a leader in place for a long period of time is really important if they're effective and doing a great job. Next slide. I said this earlier, we don't hire superintendents. We recruit talent. You will hire the superintendent, and we just try to do our very best to put the best candidates in front of you in order for you to be able to make a great decision. We represent the board, and we work strictly for you. We don't work for candidates. We don't, or applicants. We don't work for them. We vet them, we talk to them, we provide information to them, and we get information from them so that we can make a good decision when we start to vet that number down, but we don't work for them, we work for you. Okay. Next. The timeline for the search process is established, and again, we've provided that to you today, just a draft. and when we meet with the board so we can specifically tailor the search to the unique needs of your district. So not only the timelines, but the criteria, all of this will fit in one nice package that will help us to move forward and help you be prepared to make a good decision. Typically, the time from the first meeting with the board until the final candidate is named is generally 8 to 12 weeks. Okay, we can, and again, I think we fall within that on that draft that I provided to you, and you know that can be moved up a little bit or moved back a little bit based on your needs. There are some times during the timelines, it's almost like here in the beginning, it's like hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, rush, 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 get all these things in, let's get it done, let's get it launched, get it out there, and then it's like stop. And during the stop time that you feel like we've stopped, we're not doing much, we're recruiting, applicants are applying, we're getting all that information together, but it'll feel like not much is going on, but we will keep you posted. I don't know how many people will apply for this position. I have no idea. We never know, but I do know this. Applicants tend to wait to the end, the last week, right before closing to apply. I don't know why, but they do. Well, I do know some reasons why, but they do. And so, as I mentioned, we did Cumberland County. We were probably a week out. We had like 20 applicants, which was okay. That's pretty good. When we finished, at the end, we had 44 applicants for that position. So it was a good number, and those applications come pouring in at the last minute. Next slide, please. So we're going to look at the different phases here, and I'll walk through. Do you want to walk through one or two of those, or you want me to just continue?
You can just let me know which phase you want me.
Okay. So we have 5 phases in our search process. We talked about this, and then I'm sorry I messed up. I forgot that we were just going to pass it back and forth. Phase 1 was going to meet with the board today. All of these things we need to determine today. Okay, the first is to identify the desired characteristics of the candidates. What is it that you're looking for in a candidate? I hope you know. I hope you know. And it's interesting, you know, Dr. White and I always don't agree on everything, and you may not agree on the characteristics or what you're looking for, but we want to hear everything you have to say about what you're looking for in a candidate. We'll identify stakeholder groups today. Who do you want when we come back to your district to meet with stakeholder groups? What stakeholder groups do you want us to meet with? Some of those stakeholder groups are sometimes teachers, administrators, students, parents, could be government individuals, the clergy, community groups. Whoever you want us to meet with, we'll set up a time schedule and meet with those individuals. I think the contract has us coming back just for one day. If you don't think we can cover all of those stakeholder groups in one day, we are available to come back. That would be obviously an additional cost to the contract as it is. So we established the search timelines and the critical dates. We determined advertising venues in the contract. Those are identified already. 30 days with AASA, which is American Association of School Administrators. That's basically the superintendent, national superintendent organization. 30 days with top school jobs. That's Ed Week Online. 30 days with NABC, and 6 weeks with ALOS. And those are the normal ones that we put this out in, so that, and that's a part of your contract that you get by going with McPherson and Jacobson. We need to determine salary range. Now that's something that it might be that you can determine that today and say this is what it will be, or you may say give us a few days to make sure we all agree on what that salary range should be. Salary range doesn't necessarily mean, I know everybody, and I'm just going to throw out a number here. I'll keep it low. If we say salary range is 50,000 to 100, everybody goes straight to the 100,000, right? So, but that's not necessarily the way it should be. If we made that range between 50 and 100, someone with a wealth of experience, someone who's been a sitting superintendent for 10 or 15 years and they're coming here, probably deserve a little more compensation than someone who's never been a superintendent before. That's kind of a testing ground for them. So we want to work with you on determining that. And we need to do that generally before we advertise. Sometimes we put it in the advertisement, sometimes we don't. If you say, don't print that, but here's what it is, we need to know, because applicants, candidates are going to want to know that. You know, that's one of the first questions, like, what's the pay? Like, well, here's the range, you know, but I don't think that should be the first question, but many times it is. Because if a person is in a sitting superintendent position and they're making X number of dollars and your salary is lower than, they're probably not going to consider that unless they're just trying to move on. So that's something that we'll need to talk about and determine today, or determine in the next few days. We craft the job posting and vacancy announcement. We advertise that on McPherson and Jacobson's website. You can go on our website and look at the searches that we have going on now across the nation. Superintendents know about McPherson and Jacobson. Aspiring superintendents know about us. They go on our website and study it and look at it and see where positions are open. So we post that. That's sent out. I get almost daily from our corporate office in Omaha, Nebraska. I'll get emails from them saying we have an opening in Colorado, we have an opening in California, we have an opening in New York or in Georgia or wherever, and so we get that. And so if there's someone that we know, then, you know, even I'm not conducting the search, I may call that consultant and say, I have a person I think you might be interested in. So they'll do the same with us. They'll let us know. So it's well known that this position is open. It's already well known to some because, as I said, I've been called a number of times already. Phase 2, we meet with the stakeholder groups and distribute online surveys. So once you determine the stakeholder groups, we'll come back. I think we have it tentative right now for September 18th, come back to meet with those stakeholder groups. We will ask the stakeholders some questions. We ask them the good things about the district, the things they like, what's good about the school system, what's good about the community, because as applicants are going to be asking us, and we need to be able to share with them what's good about your community. Why would someone want to move here? If you're not already here and living here, why would someone want to move to your community? We want to be able to tell them the great things about the community, but also we want to be honest with them if there's some issues, concerns, problems, things that they need to know. We want to share that with them as well. So stakeholder groups are great. Dr. White and I were talking about that last night, how they really provide some really good information that's helpful to you as the board and also to the candidates who's thinking about applying, because we'll provide that information to them, what the stakeholders have said. We do that in 2 ways, face-to-face with those groups, and we also do an online survey that we'll provide to you, and we'll explain that later, that we will, K-12 Insights, if you've heard of them, they have a survey, and they will provide that survey. You'll put it on your website, announce it. Anybody who wants to go in and fill out that survey as well. So we have the face-to-face meetings that will provide you feedback on that and what they've said, and we have the K-12 Insight online survey that individuals in your community, and you'll know whether it's a parent or an employee or a student or whoever, it will differentiate between that, and you can see what their responses are. Don't be offended if someone says, we don't like the search firm, or don't be offended, well, our board is this or our board is that. It's all the board's fault. You get that. But then you do also get some very valuable things that are helpful to you when you're looking forward with your new superintendent, things that need to be addressed. We develop promotional materials and advertise the vacancy. We send it out, receive, and catalog all the application information. We get applications. We have a program, software program that once they apply, that information comes in, and we start looking at those candidates. We actively recruit applicants, which I've already said. Do you want to take phase 3?
Sure.
I've talked too much already. Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Barry already mentioned that we will need for you all to identify a point of contact person, because once we leave today, we will be working directly with that person. And then that person will set up a communication protocol so that everyone here and everyone in your entire school system will always know where we are in the process. We will also work closely with your public relations person to make sure that all the pertinent information is always accessible to all stakeholders in the county. So that word transparency that Barry has used over and over again, we really take it seriously. And we work with you to do this work in a transparent way, meaning that through your website, through all of the advertising venues that Barry already mentioned, through word of mouth, because we lean on you heavily to talk with your direct constituents to make sure that everybody in Craven County is always aware of this process and where we are in the process at all times. So please take that position very seriously and be thinking about it, because hopefully before we leave here today, we will know clearly who that person is and how you want us to communicate with them. We have led searches, both of us, where every email that we sent was sent to every member of the board. And we've also led searches where we only sent an email to that point of contact, and then it was their responsibility to make sure that the entire board was kept up to speed. So those are the types of decisions that you all will make. So be thinking about that as we continue to go through the next phases. And be thinking also, because we would want to kind of have a sense of what you're feeling before we leave today, on how you want to hold your stakeholder meetings. So be thinking about that, because if we only do it in one day, it's a very rigorous day. We go meeting after meeting after meeting. The meetings are set up maybe 45 minutes to an hour. And during those times, we use a protocol so that everyone who attends a meeting gets the same thing. We ask the same 4 questions all the time. Barry and I work together. One of us will facilitate a meeting while the other records. So we take our own notes about what is heard during the meetings. And then at the end of that process, we will return a very detailed report to you all on what we learned through those meetings. So I went back over that so that you can be thinking in the back of your mind about how you want to have us set that up for you. We can share templates of schedules that we have worked with other school districts so that you can know what other people have done to schedule those meetings. But we have to take into consideration, as you well know, the time the buses are moving throughout your school district, the times that people go to church, on whatever evening it is that we hold the meetings, because we can offer meetings throughout the day. But as you know, in order to reach those stakeholders after school hours, we hold community meetings into the late evenings of the day. So we'll answer any questions about that, but just to let you know, be thinking about those things. And we will dig deeper into that with the point of contact. We won't do all of that work today, but once you identify the point of contact, we'll work deeper into getting that set up for you. August has flown by all of us, and I know how quickly September will do the same thing, and we'll be back here before you can bat your eyes. So that's why I wanted to take a few moments and just kind of give you all some food for thought, so that when we approach that part of the conversation, you'll have some ideas in your mind as to how you want to handle those things. I'm going to talk to you about phase 3. So if you just think about it, we're here today, that's phase 1. And all of those things that are in that column, we are going to take care of today. Phase 2, the stakeholder meetings. That will be the second time that you all will see us. Phase 3 is on us, basically. And we dig deep into getting into the work of reading the applications and evaluating everyone who applies to become your next superintendent. We take that part of the work extremely seriously. We know how to ask the questions that will generate even more questions. When we are vetting applicants, of course, we vet their references, we vet their resumes, we look at everything in their experiences and background, but we also do digital searches. That's the age that we live in. And we look at social media accounts that they have. We try our very best to uncover every stone that we can find on applicants so that when we bring people to you, our name is behind that person. And we want to stand strong on any recommendation that we make to you. One question that we ask applicants that I really like, Barry already mentioned that level of transparency that we take very seriously. We actually ask the applicants and their references if there's anything that is in their background that might be problematic for you as a board and for the school system. We ask them to be upfront and share it with us first. Because if we find out about it and then have to ask them about it on the back end, that can be somewhat awkward at times. So we try to instill in our applicants that need to be transparent up front. You know, you can look on social media and you can find the good, the bad, and the ugly about everybody. I'm sure you've probably Googled Deborah White and you found something that you might have a question about. I try not to have a social media presence, but people just need to be upfront about it because someone out there who you might not even know has the opportunity to put something on social media about all of us. And I find that there's always an explanation about it. And if I'm just upfront about it, then I can serve you better by sharing it with you up front. So the evaluation of the applicant files is one of the most important things that we will do for you. And I just want you to know that we take that very seriously. We will conduct the reference checks and the background investigations. Our firm does a background investigation on each and every applicant that you want to bring here to Craven County. The applicants sign a consent agreement up front that they are open to that and they are willing to have that background check done on them. So again, we feel like not only do we have the resources to recruit and bring good people for you to consider, but we also have the resources to make sure that those people are of quality and that their leadership will serve you well if you bring them here. And this is a good part of the process that I know that you'll find interesting. When we present to you a list of, I don't know, I can't say how many applicants we will bring. The last search I did was for a district in Georgia that's much smaller than your district. They only had about 3,000 students. But for that small district, I got over 30 applicants. So we know that there's interest out there in the position of a school superintendent. We always get many people to apply for jobs. It doesn't matter how small or how large the school district is. But once we narrow down to a list of, let's just say 5 or 6 applicants that we want to stand behind and bring to you to consider, the first thing that we will do is ask those candidates to produce a video introduction of themselves to you. And we will provide that video to you all as a board. That is a real good way for you all to just get a look, put a name with a face, have them to be able to talk to you directly through video about their background, their experiences, and what they hope to accomplish with you all here in Craven County. That is always a very interesting part of the process, and we look forward to working with our candidates and making sure that, first of all, they are aware that that will be a part of the process, and they will be aware that we will be sharing it with you and when we share it with you. That's usually done through a Zoom type of a board meeting. We usually don't come back for that meeting, but we introduce the applicants to you through video through one of your meetings. So that's phase 3. By the time we get to the end of phase 3, you might have a good idea as to who you want to even move further through the process, because by that time you will have actually met them through the video introductions that they will make. They will respond to 3 prompts that we will provide to them, You will know what the prompts will be, and you will have that opportunity through technology to be introduced to the shortlist candidates. That's what we refer to them as. So that is phase 3. Do you want me to go ahead to phase 4?
Sure.
Barry, I'll
Sure.
give you a further break there. On phase 4, that's when we get to reviewing the remaining short list of candidates. We will support you in identifying the final candidates, because from that short list, and we'll keep you informed along the way as to how many candidates we're getting. But remember, in phase 3, we present to you a short list. It might be 5 or 6 people, just depending on the number of applicants that we get. But phase 4 is all about assisting you in making sure that you are ready to narrow down that list to the people that you actually want to interview. Now, we've done this a lot of different ways. Some board members want to physically interview all 5 from the short list. They all 5 might meet the criteria that you set for your next superintendent. That's your right if you want to do that. Some school districts will take the 5 or 6 that we recommend on the short list, and they will work through a process that we can assist you with in narrowing that down to maybe 2 or 3 that you would like to offer a formal interview with. That interview can be in person, where you bring them down, or again, it can be through the use of technology. Again, we serve at your pleasure, and we will work with you however you want to make that process happen. We can help you with the interviewing process. We can help you come up with the questions for the candidates. You can work directly through your human resources division if you choose to do that. But be thinking about the timing where we are here, and when we get to that phase, you really are getting to the end of the phases, and you might have a pretty good idea as to who you want to go with for your next superintendent. So now you're in the interviewing processes. We'll work with you to schedule and coordinate the interviews, and along the way, while you all are doing that work, we will be keeping all of the other candidates informed of their status in the process, because we want to make sure that they know if they have made it to that next phase. All candidates going through this process know about the short list, and so they're asking us along the way. But it is our responsibility to contact them and provide them the information of their status at every phase of the way. We let them know that. Okay.
So that's thank you, Dr. White. That's the first 4 phases. Lots of moving parts, lots of things going on during those first 4 phases. Phase 5 is actually after the board has selected the candidate, and we'll work with you and the new superintendent to establish performance objectives and measures, things that you would like to see them accomplish in their first year as superintendent. If you go through phase 5 and all the way to the end, we provide a 2-year guarantee to your board saying that if that person were to leave for any reason within 2 years of being hired, we'll do the process over again at no charge except for expenses, or like travel expenses. But there's a couple of exceptions to that. If you don't go through a phase 5, the 2-year guarantee is null and void. And also, if let's say we bring 4 candidates before you, and we've had this happen, a board might say, well, I don't see John Smith's name, and we'd like to interview John Smith. If the board chooses to do that, it's your search. You can interview someone that we didn't recommend, but that makes the 2-year guarantee null and void, because we stand only behind those candidates that we bring forward to you. So just want to make that clear up front. Next slide, please. So we recognize this is an investment, and you as a board make an investment to try to go through a process that will provide you with the very best candidates possible. The cost that you see there includes everything that we mentioned, including all expenses, and the expenses include phase 1 through 5 of the search process, I've mentioned the different advertising venues there that we will make sure we take that on ourselves and we advertise in those areas so individuals will know that this position is open. The contract now, as I've already said, is a 1 day of in-person stakeholder meetings. We can expand that if you go, how are we going to get, these are some of the groups that we want you all to work with, and we can't work them all in 1 day, then we can add an additional day, but that is an additional cost as well. Online stakeholder input surveys with K-12 Insights, which I've already mentioned. The video interviews of the candidates, as Dr. White said, I think is very valuable. It gives you the opportunity to see the individual and hear them answer some questions. I think there's 3 questions and they get 3 minutes each to answer the questions, and we'll come back and present those to you along with all the information that we've collected on them. And you'll have the opportunity to say, if we bring 5 back, as Dr. White's already said, maybe you say, well, 3 of those really are, those 3 candidates are the top 3 and we'd like to interview them. But we've had school boards that say, well, we want to interview all of them. We like them all. We think all of them meet the criteria, and we want to meet them in person and ask them questions in person. We'll do this investment also includes paying for the criminal, financial, and degree verification background checks for the candidates that are chosen to be interviewed, and then all travel expenses for consultants for the scheduled trips here, and then office expenses mean we're out in the field, but we have an office in Omaha, Nebraska that does a lot of information passing back and forth and helping us and keeping records and generating. So there are office expenses as well. But all that's included in the package that has been approved. Next.
Eric, may I add one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have internal candidates, we offer the same process to internal candidates as external candidates. If you want to have a talk with us about internal candidates, we're happy to do that. But I just wanted to mention that we offer the same process and procedures to internal candidates as external.
Next slide, please. So we kind of hang our head on transparency, which we've mentioned a number of times, sustainability of leadership. We think that we're pretty good at selecting candidates who want to come and stay for long periods of time, and high involvement of stakeholders because your students, staff, and community deserve that. They deserve the best. They deserve to know what's going on, and we try to keep everyone involved and posted on that. Next slide, please. So at this point, we've thrown a lot of information at you already. Apologize for that. There's a lot to this process, and your head may be spinning going, I'm not really sure where we are at this point. We're going to help you work through some of that this morning. But right now, if you have any questions, anything that we've said that may spark a question, we'll be happy to answer that now.
Yes. We would work with your technology division here. We usually would send the videos over and let them, make them accessible. And so whatever process that would entail, we have to time it. We have to make sure that we send the videos almost at that meeting time so that they're
Not talking about the videos. I'm talking about like the meetings with the stakeholders. We put, for public meetings, we put them, I believe, on YouTube. And we allow the public to listen in. And I personally would like the public to be involved at each step and know and hear the questions.
Excuse me for just a moment, Ms. Mason. Mr. Gatchell has something.
So the meetings with the stakeholders, not public, not a meeting of the body. Well, going part of advanced Zoom, Barry, Deborah, meetings, folks be candid, positive, negative, great, not just, I think, change that process, product, less robust. Sometimes more candid, private, public, not be considered.
Thank you. Mr. Gatchell, for the benefit of the public, he was just explaining that the stakeholder meetings would not be public meetings because they are not meetings of the public body. Thank you.
May I
Sure.
do a follow-up?
Uh,
There are some stakeholders, like if you hold it at night, who can't drive at night. And I would like, there's physical things as well. And I was just wondering if there's a way to include them in the discussion.
Generally, we, the night meeting, the night meetings, community meeting. First of all, if we're meeting with principals, if we're meeting with teachers, if we're meeting with students, that doesn't need to be publicized. It doesn't need to be but if you're talking about specifically community meetings, we don't have a problem with that being televised or live streamed or whatever. We don't have a problem with it. The others, I certainly wouldn't suggest we do that. But if you're having a night town hall meeting and you want that to be publicized, that's fine. But if people can't come, that's why we do the online survey, because we'll ask the same questions on the online survey as we do at the meeting. And so when we're at the meeting, we encourage those individuals, and we'll say there, if there's anyone who couldn't attend tonight, please tell them to go online, go to the website, click on the survey and complete the information. They get the same opportunity to have input as the people at the meeting.
And we run the online survey for at least 5 to 7 days.
It's on here. So.
Right. So they'll have a lot of opportunities.
So actually that, our next time that we would come back for in-person stakeholder meetings, we have it scheduled for September 18th. Again, this is tentative. If that doesn't work for you, it's fine. After we do the online survey, usually starting the day after the face-to-face meeting. Because if people know, well, I can do the survey, and so I'm not going to go to the meeting. We want individuals to come to the meeting. We want those individuals to attend the meeting. Face-to-face is always better, and you get a clearer picture. And I agree with Brian, and I'm going to say this, and I hope it doesn't offend you. We generally discourage board members from attending any of those meetings, because if you're there, people are going to go, well, I want to say this, but I'm not going to say it in front of a board member. So we encourage them, but I'm not going to say you can't come. That's, we've had board members who just have in the past insisted on sitting in the back just listening. And when the crowd, however big the crowd is, knows a board member's there, they clam up and they won't talk. So we want them to be transparent. You want them, I think, want them to be transparent. You want to know what they are thinking and even whether it's true or not true. We don't try to rebuttal anything. We let them speak. Only thing we take out is if they get fired up and say something, use a person's name or use profanity, we don't put that in there. But anything else, we capture those notes, and you'll get a copy of that. You'll get a report on that as to what those individuals had to say about your community.
I am the one retired person on the board, and or one of two, and I just know that when I work with my retirement communities, they have physical limitations, and I just wanted the ability to include them, and I wanted the ability for the entire public to participate, because what I'm finding out as a retiree, I don't have time anymore. I don't know how I ever had time to work, and so that's all I'm thinking about is
Sure.
the physical limitations, and I like your product.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Are there other questions from board members right now? Ms. Stacy?
So it's really not a question for you, Dr. Carroll, but I do want the board to consider, because I think the date that you're proposing for the stakeholder meetings is the date of a board meeting. So I certainly don't want community stakeholders to be choosing between coming to a board meeting and going to a stakeholder meeting, because the stakeholder meetings are obviously really important. The only other comment I would have on that is that because we have a very large county geographically, and it is very diverse in terms of communities, I think that teachers and administrators would be, of course, my first priority for you to talk with, but then additionally, I think we need to geographically have different groups so that we increase participation. So I think Havelock needs its own community meeting. I think the greater New Bern area needs one. I think West Craven needs its own. So I think, from my perspective, we have to geographically cover the county and at least make an effort in that regard. So that's all.
And we can do that. We've had community meetings in the mornings, like started a 8:30 or 8 or 8:30, 9 o'clock meeting, and then have another one in a different community that night. Then on the next day, have a different one in the community in the morning, and then that next night, have a different one in a different community. That's with 2 days. And what we hear is, I don't care how you schedule them, when you schedule them, there are people going, well, I can't make that meeting. I already have this, I already have that. And, you know, so we just can't meet the needs of everybody, but we do try to make an attempt to cover the county sufficiently to make sure that everyone who has an opportunity or who wants the opportunity to speak, that they can. And again, if they can't attend the meeting, they can complete the online survey, which is the same exact questions. As a matter of fact, they have more time on the survey because they can type to their heart's desire, you know, and filling all that information in. At the meeting, they're going to be limited because we have 45 minutes. We'll ask 4 questions, and we want everyone who wants to speak to have the opportunity to speak. So we can't allow any one person to dominate on a question. So we have to tactfully control that during the meeting, and we've learned how to do that. So anyway, everybody wants input. We want their input. We just don't want then. You know, sometimes individuals like to get on a soapbox and tell past history, and when my child went to school, this, and then all these stories, and we encourage them not to do that. You know, that's not what we're there for. We don't want to hear all the history, but we do want to know the issues and concerns as well.
And we work with you all to consider traffic patterns. We try not to schedule people with their supervisors. Of course, we try to include district office personnel, administrators, teachers, community leaders, clergy, just to name a few. But we'll dig really deep into that with your point of contact and offer some suggested schedules that we have used in other districts.
Any other questions right now from the board? If not, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. White and Dr. Carroll.
So next on the agenda is the identification. If you look on your draft schedule and also on the agenda, we need to identify those characteristics for the new superintendent. Do that today. And we're going to establish the formal timelines, which I've given to you, which we already have, appears to have one conflict. Determine advertising venues. We've already done that one. Identifying stakeholder groups. We need that. Establish compensation parameters. We need to talk about that. Identify the point of contact for the district. We need to do that. Those are the things we really need to focus on today. So the first one is the qualities and characteristics or qualifications of the new superintendent. Dr. White's going to lead that activity for you.
Okay, so this is critical. This is very important because this is how we will be able to begin advertising for the position here in Craven County. I am going to ask you all to work with me on this process because we have to get this information from you. You are now going to help us to set the criteria. In other words, create a position description for the superintendent of Craven County. What we will do is go through about a 6 or 7 minute activity, and then I'm going to take up all of the information that you share with me. Barry and I will return home and we will put it together in the format that we will use on your advertisement, okay? So the protocol that we're going to use is this. I'm going to help you think about the skills, the qualities, and the characteristics that you have a vision for in your next school leader for Craven County. I am going to ask each of you to take out a piece of paper. If you have a blank piece of paper, if not, you can use the back of something. And I'm going to ask you to just number 1 through 5. Just number on that 1 through 5. And then I'm going to set a timer. And I'm going to ask, you know, sometimes those things that we think of off the top of our head, those are the things that really reflect our deep thinking. So in other words, you don't have to really dig deep right now. We'll help you to do that. I want your best thinking. So I'm going to time you. I'm going to give you 7 minutes to just number 1 through 5, and you can put them in bullet format. But I want you to think about what are those skills, those qualities, and those characteristics that you would like to see in your next superintendent. A skill set, leadership. What type of a leader? What are those leadership skills that you're looking at? Qualities, what type of person do you want to see in that position? And then characteristics, what do you want that person to reflect or that person to bring when they come into Craven County? So just think about it, think deeply, bullet it out, number 1 through 5. And when you finish, we're going to go around and I'm going to ask each of you to just openly share one from your list. And then after everyone has shared one from their list, I'll take up the list. If there are no questions, please begin now, and I'll set the timer for 7 minutes. 2 minutes remaining. Thank you all for participating in that activity. If you could just tear it out of your tablet or pad, and I will take them up when we finish the meeting. And can we start on this end with Ms. Kitzinger and just go around, and if each of you would share one from your list.
I think the most important one that I would choose is accountability. Yep, for themselves and for others.
Thank you.
I would like to see a business background, sense of financial situations and how to handle them.
Okay. Stacy?
So I did have budget acumen as my first, but since Ms. Gibbs has already mentioned that, I would say executive communication would be second, because we need somebody who is poised to handle the ever-present crisis, and be prepared to deal with questions about whatever that crisis is, whether it's a hurricane or a scandal at a high school. So that would be big for me.
Thank you.
So I also have, of course, the fiscal management and the communication, but I think it's important to have someone who really understands the geographic lay and culture of our county, with us having really 3 very distinct districts, if you will, or areas in that make up our district. I think they need to be able to understand Havelock, West Craven, and the city of New Bern areas.
Okay. Ms. Mason?
I have the other ones on my list, but my top one would be a leadership style that embraces accountability and transparency with the public.
So since we're last, they pretty much said everything. Because my first one was financial management, and then Lauren and Patty just kind of went with my second one, strong leadership / accountability.
Okay, thank you. Kirkman?
I'd like to see a leader that's a visionary, innovative, and also a problem solver. To see where we are, where we could be, and how to get there.
Well, again, thank you all, and if you would leave those on the edge of the table where you all are sitting, and I will come by and pick them up at the end of the meeting. Barry and I will review all of your suggestions, and we will return to your point of contact a suggested position description that fits the format that we generally use for advertising. Once we get your approval on that position description that will include the criteria, then we will be ready to advertise it. Thank you very much.
So the next on our list are the establishing formal timelines, and you have a draft in front of you. Let me just run through that, and some of this is redundant, but I like to say it so we kind of understand how the process flows. We'll establish the timelines, determine the advertising venues. You can mark that one off. Already done that. Unless, I will say this, in the contract, it's the ones that we always provide. If you want us to advertise in, let's say, North Carolina Superintendent Association or North Carolina School Board Association, we can do that. Sometimes it's a minimal cost that would be on you, sometimes not. But if that's something you want us to do, we can, if you have others that you would like to suggest, then we'll investigate those as well.
Yes, Ms. Stacy.
So I agree with the chair with regard to looking for somebody who understands and is culturally aware with regard to the Southeast. I mean, I think we can all agree that the southeastern part of our country is not like the northeastern part of our country, right? And Wake County is not like Craven County. So I do have some interest in at least exploring advertising in some North Carolina specific venues, and I believe there is also a southeastern. I don't know what your experience is like, but is SREB something that is a potential southeastern organization that we could contact, simply because I think that might be a better fit for us.
Okay.
Particularly if the cost is minimal.
We can explore the cost and then let you know that. You can, at that point, say yes, move ahead, or don't move ahead, whichever. We're fine with it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes, Ms. Mason?
I'm the oddball. I would prefer a nationwide search because there's a lot of successful schools in the U.S. and we have the opportunity to learn and grow ourselves and expand ourselves.
So if I understood correctly, the advertising venues that you all use, those first four, those are national.
They're all national.
Yes.
Identifying the appropriate stakeholders, which we're going to do in just a few minutes, establish compensation parameters, and identify the point of contact again. All of that is today, okay? So let's move forward from that. In September, we hope, if we can get all of your information back, we can get it processed and over to Omaha, we hope to have your position online with the ad completed so individuals can look at that by September the 4th. Okay, so that's pretty quick turnaround, so we need to get that going, but just for your information, September 4th is the target. Second on-site visit with stakeholder groups, we have it as September 18th. You said it possibly is a conflict with the board meeting, and we don't have a problem with it being at the same time as a board meeting, but you might. You may say, well, there's some people might not come to that because they're at the board meeting or vice versa. So if you want us to stay away from that, we can look at a different date for that, which would cause us to push our online survey to a different date as well. So I just need your feedback. Do you want to keep it on the 18th or move it to another date?
What is your input, Ms. Mason? You have?
I agree with Ms. Stacy. I would like to make these meetings not on a board date. And our board dates on the timeline that we have are September 18th, October 14th, and October 16th. And I keep forgetting. I'm agreeing with Ms. Stacy that we don't want the public to have to choose, and repeating that our upcoming board meeting dates are the 18th of October, 18th of September, 14th of October, and 16th of October.
Okay. I'm just asking, would the 25th of September, would that be a better date? 20, and again, do you want one day or do you want 2 days of stakeholder meetings? Again, if you go to 2 days, it's going to be an additional charge.
Right. I think we have to decide how we want to gather the stakeholder feedback. I think it is also very important that we have a presence in all 3 areas of the county. I mean, if for no other reason, geographically, it's difficult for a person, for example, to come from the eastern ends of Havelock, maybe to even from the east and the west. It's geographically, it's kind of a hike for them. So I don't. Is there? So I don't know the best way to approach that. And do we need to first decide what we want those stakeholder groups to be, or I'm not really sure.
We generally set the dates first.
Okay.
And then for you to say, we want 1 day or 2 days, and again, we'll take that information and we'll do
Okay.
a draft, like, if you say, here are the 7 groups that we want you to meet with, or 8 groups, whatever it might be. And then we'll plug those in time slots
Okay.
strategically, get that list back to you, and you say, the board says that looks good to us, and then we move forward with that. That's going to happen very quickly as well. We need
Right.
to move on that so we can, be ready to come back on whichever date. I don't have a problem with moving it. Do you have a problem with the
I don't have a
25th?
problem.
Okay.
No.
With the 25th of September, if we want to move it, that we stay away from the school board.
Yes, Dr. Boone. Okay, thank you for that. Yes, Ms. Stacy?
So I think in the interest of keeping costs down, I would prefer that we try and do them all in one day.
Okay.
I think what I would like to know, though, from Jennifer Wagner is, if Jennifer, do you feel like it's, let's say we need to do 4 groups. Is it, given the geographic constraints, do you think that's logistically possible to do 4 in one day? Right. Right. But of course, then everybody has the online option as well. And I just think that,
I think it is helpful that the online option is asking the same questions. That I realize that when you have people in person, sometimes you might get different feedback, but we do have the online option that has the same questions and is screening for the same information. I think I'm understanding that correctly.
Yes. So are you visualizing these 3 different areas that you're talking about, that we would actually physically go to those 3 different
Yeah.
areas? Is that possible in one day and
Yes.
still meet with a group of teachers, and still meet with a group of principals, and still meet with a group of students, and still meet with a group of central office staff or whomever, classified staff,
Yeah.
clergy, government leaders? Is that possible and still hit those 3? That seems like a very busy day, but
It will be, yes, Ms. Gibbs.
I really think the folks from my district would be willing to travel to one site here and not find it quite the hardship. I'm not sure about the western part of the county.
Okay.
I think the western part would be willing to travel, but I think Ms. Wagner's input to work around schedules, because my community is basically retirees, agriculture, and tradespeople. So they have flexibility in schedules. And that's what prompted me, if you recall my question earlier, could they at least see the stakeholder meetings so when they fill the online survey, they know what has been said or not been said, and somehow include them in the discussion. I have a lot of shift workers.
Yes, Ms. Stacy?
well, and I would just say, to Ms. Mason's point, I think actually, it's not, I don't think that I think we want people's honest feedback, and so I don't know that seeing another meeting is really the best approach. I think we want people to come to these with their own insights and comments and not have them predicated on what's been said before. So I don't feel the same concern for having the live stream. I just want people to feel like they can come and give honest feedback, which is what we're interested in receiving.
Yep. Yeah.
Madam
So-
Chair, if I may, I
Yes,
think
Mr.
that
Kirkman?
while we would, in a perfect situation, we would be able to have a separate meeting in all three places. But when you start looking logistically at being able to do that, and then trying to meet with administrators, teachers, other folks, that just can't be done in a day. You would really be talking about multiple days to be able to do that sort of thing. And I think folks would like to give their input. Not everybody can be to a meeting, doesn't matter when you schedule it, how far in advance. Folks just can't get there because it's just the way life is.
Right.
But my recommendation would be to have the one public meeting, or however you want to label it or whatever. But folks have the opportunity to go online and put their input in. Not that we don't value everyone's opinion and input in this process, but we just know logistically it's impossible to get everybody that would like to be at a meeting at a certain time and place and that sort of thing. But we do have the online option. They can definitely put all their input and everything there. But then also, you know, on the 24th, Dr. Boone mentioned about the administrators will already be meeting. That may be an opportunity there to have, on 25th, to have some time then to meet with them separately or whatever. Could meet with teachers that afternoon, other folks and educators, and then that evening, early evening, have a time for the parents or whomever, other community members to come here for that. It could be possibly worked in that way.
Ideally, that's the best scenario for the two of us to be in a central location and for those groups to rotate through. We can hit a lot of groups in a day doing that, even if they're community groups. If we're not having to drive 20 miles or 40 miles that way and back across the county, it makes it easier for us. I know it puts a hardship on some individuals to be able to travel and do that, but you know, again, they have the opportunity to do online. So best case for us, and generally that's what we want you to know what the options are and what we're willing to do, but yet if you want the most bang for your buck on those is rotate those individuals through. And what we do is we usually start those on top of the hour, go to 45 minutes after the hour, we take a 15-minute break, the next group comes in, we start at the top of the hour, go 45 minutes, rotate out, and we just continue to do that even with the community. So we could do a community group in the morning and a community group late afternoon or evening, and then fill in with
I was going to say that, and maybe could do it first thing in the morning. That way folks could come by here.
That's right.
You're only talking about 45 minutes to an hour.
That's right.
May be able to get away from work that long to swing by or whatever, and folks, Ms. Daisy, or Ms. Mason was concerned about in terms of late evenings and that kind of thing. That might be your best option.
Yes, sir. So what we'd like to do is, or maybe the best thing is for us to work with your point of contact with, once that person, you've identified that person, and we'll draft something, a time frame, and then work with that person to plug in which groups would go in which time slot, and then take it from there.
Okay. I'm hearing favor for one day, rotating the groups through here. Okay. Okay.
Well, I agree with everybody for the one day, and Mr. Kirkman had the ideal solution. I'm gonna throw this out. I would also like the Chamber of Commerce to be consulted, because the achievement of our schools affects business.
So I think we're gonna get to stakeholder groups,
Yeah, we want to identify those today as well.
Yeah.
But
I assume we weren't, okay.
Are
So-
we looking at the 24th, 25th?
That's where we were before we. Is the 25th a good date for stakeholder meetings? I know principals are meeting, but we can either go by the principals meeting, or are those meetings?
Are
in
they
this
meeting in this room, right? Yeah.
Is there another room in this facility?
Not that can hold how many well, I don't know. The next largest room is that conference room, and I don't think it could comfortably hold more than about 10 people.
Okay.
Okay. So we're saying tentatively the 25th of September?
I mean, we're willing to do we could do the 24th, which would, the day before the principal's meeting, but that's a Wednesday. We're in the South. A lot of people worship on Wednesday night, and so that would knock out a night meeting anyway.
Jennifer, you're shaking no, why?
Yeah, Wednesday is not a good night.
Yeah. Okay.
I almost feel like we should make sure that we can move the principals meeting before we lock in on that date, and we can
Yeah.
probably do that if we take a break, but.
Yeah, okay.
So the 25th will now work.
9/25. Yes, September 25th.
Okay. And then the K-12 Insights online survey then would be bumped from the 19th through the 26th to the 26th through the October 2nd.
Okay.
We'll get this updated and get it back to you. Then in October also, there's a summary of stakeholder input. Once we get that stakeholder input put together in a report, then we provide a summary of that stakeholder input, both from the, and we'll just hit the highlights. We're not going to go through everything that everybody said. We go through and see threads of, everybody seems to be saying these 4, 5, or 10 things, and we'll present those to you. We'll do that by Zoom if you choose to. Some boards choose to say, just send us the report, we'll read it ourselves, we don't need that meeting. That's up to you. We're available to provide that to you if you want us to kind of summarize it for you, or if you choose not to, but we put it in the calendar just in case. Then the application close date we have is October the 15th, and all completed application files come to us on October 16th. We start vetting those and going through all that information. Consultants review those applicants from the 16th through the 24th. And again, these dates are tentative. These could be changed if the board so desires. Then the selected candidate tape interviews. Once Dr. White and I have vetted, and sometimes we bring other team members in to help us with that, but once those candidates have been vetted, we select a number to be videotaped. It's usually 5. So those 5 that rise to the top, we call them and say, we're going to send you a link. We're going to ask you 3 questions. You have 3 minutes to answer the question, and we capture that in video. So we don't really coach them on what to say, but we just say, have a good background, be professional, be yourself, those kinds of things. And that's the video that you'll be able to view when we come back in November. That will be our 3rd on-site visit, November 6th. The selected candidates are presented to the board. We present all the information, resumes, references, everything that we have, any good or bad that we've collected on them, anything that they may want the board to know specifically, and then we show those video tapes to you as well. So we present them to the board. You get to see them in action. You get to read all the information, and we will tell you all about them, everything that we found out about those candidates at that meeting. Consultants provide summary profiles and videos. The board selects the candidates for district interviews, meaning in-person interviews. Again, if you have 5 and we've presented them, you've looked through their information, and it may take you, a day or two to actually go through that and decide. But generally, it's pretty clear. We either want to interview all 5, or we want to interview 4, or we want to interview 2, whatever. Generally, that determination can be made that night. And so you select those candidates that you want to interview in person, and we notify those candidates who are not selected. Then we begin that process of criminal, financial, and credential verification on those individuals. If it's 3 or 2 or whatever, we we run that information. That generally takes about a week. So what we're trying to do is get ahead of the game so that once you've decided who you want, we make sure we have all of that information already checked out. And then the finalist interviews, we have slated for November 18th through the 20th. And then we have a little time, it's my understanding, and just talking with Spieth, that you kind of want a kind of a December, or at least start by January 1st. And so we've got a little leeway there, a little bit of time, but we don't want to push it back too far, because we don't generally have hiccups, but if we have a hiccup, then we wanted some time to be able to recover from that. I've never had a hiccup, but I just like to leave time in the calendar to be able to, flexibility in the calendar to be able to move if we need to. So that's basically the timelines. Is there any other thoughts or questions or comments about dates that may be conflicting?
Do you, Mr. Kirkman?
Yeah, I think you've got a nice layout of things and moving forward at a good pace. I know there's a question in regards to the board work session on the 14th, and also is recommended of the summary information provided to us back on the 14th, possibly by Zoom. I do think it'd be good if we could do it by Zoom. That way we could, if we had questions or whatever, you could elaborate on various things. I don't know, would it be possible for that to be part of that work session that morning at some point in time? To be able to do that.
I think that's what I think when I see October 14th, also the work session date, yes, that we would incorporate that in our work session.
All right. All right.
Any other questions or?
Can we also add the finalist interviews to the agenda for November 18th and 20th?
So we would, I don't know, I would have to defer to Mr. Gatchell on that. I don't believe we would do public interviews of the candidate.
Do it in closed session.
Yep.
Yes, but in my experience, I have plenty regular meetings that interview separate special call.
Does that conflict with your school board meeting? Is that what you're saying? 18th through the 20th? It does not. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Gibbs?
It's been mentioned many times by various members of this board that we wanted to see all of the resumes. Is that something you've done in the past, and could you provide that to us?
Generally, we don't. We will, we can provide you with the names. And so let me come back to your question. Let me back up and clarify one thing. In North Carolina, and Brian, please, or Ms. Getchell, please help me with this. I know when we did Cumberland, theirs was a closed search. Nothing was released. No names were released, nothing. And they didn't request to see all the applicants. When we start recruiting, I have to, and Dr. White has, we have to tell those applicants whether or not there's a possibility that their name will be released. Okay? And I want to be honest. I want to be transparent with them. I don't want to say your name is not going to be released and then their name gets released. That destroys our credibility. It'll destroy your credibility if that gets out. So we think it's best practice that we keep those applications and that information confidential, except for the ones that we provide to you. Now, if you want to ask us a question and say, did John Smith apply? And if I'll tell you that, yes, he applied, or no, he didn't apply. And if the board says we'd like to ask John Smith to interview for the position, that's fine. We'll work with you on that. But as far as giving you all that information, that's not generally our practice. We like to guard that information because, let's be honest, we're playing with people's lives here, with their livelihood. We're playing with their careers. We want to be professional. We want to make sure that what we tell them, I don't want to tell somebody we're going to do something, we not do it, or tell them we're not going to do something and then we do it. So I'm not saying I don't trust the board members at all. I'm not saying that. But if we give you a packet of that information and you go, I want to go home, and you lay it on your table, and next thing you know, your grandchild's looked through it or something, next thing you know, a name gets out. It's a dangerous situation. So we like to keep that really close to the vest, but we'll work with you on that. I'm not going to sit here and say, we will absolutely not tell you who else applied. There's a way we can work through that. But as far as providing all that information, we generally don't do that.
Could we ask a question, because I really don't care about the names, because I can't remember the people I meet every day, but what their name is half the time. Could we ask a question like, was there somebody who had strong fiscal accountability that didn't make the top 5? And could we ask why?
Sure, we can work with you on that. Generally, we have, and it sounds like already that may be the top one, just based on what you've all said. And I would say that if that's the case, and that's what you're looking for, those 5 are going to have that. You know, because we match what you want with the candidate's strengths and what they're really good at. And so if that's your number one, I'm not saying it is, but if that's one of them, then we're going to match those people. They're going to have that and proof of that. And it's not, again, when we're looking for candidates, we're not asking them or looking for what can you do, what do you think you can do. We want proof of what you've done in the past. You have proven that you can, develop a budget and stick to it. And that you have ways of generating funds. You work with the legislature, whatever that case might be, that they're able to do that. They have a proven track record for that. So, again, we'll work with you on that. These individuals who apply, and let me say this, I hope this can be closed. Closed meaning no names will be released until we get to the end, and the person who gets the job, their name is released, obviously. When they ask me, is this an open or closed search? If I say it's an open search, your candidates are cut dramatically because they're going to say, I have a good job. I like where I am. I like my board. We're working well together. We're making progress. I want to apply for that job, but if my name's getting out, I'm not applying because I don't want my current situation to be in jeopardy. So they like to keep that quiet up until the end. And that's up to them if they tell their board or not tell their board or tell whomever, their supervisor. We just like to keep it closed so that it protects those individuals.
Mr. Gatchell?
So there's no hope about it. The General Assembly has made it clear, have an incredibly expansive personnel confidentiality statute. Says once gathered by the board and literally the phrase wherever located or in whatever form. So that is literally as expansive in the definition 115C 319. That's our personnel statute. It expressly includes applicants for employment. Okay, so the General Assembly has made it very, very clear, express, thou shalt not speak. So quite literally, for you to be able to announce who your finalists were, I would want written consent to those finalists announce that. In my view, we're about as closed by law. Obviously, I'm not familiar with our statute, personnel statute applies to employees, applicants, same extent.
So, to that point, Mr. Gatchell, it sounds as though we will lead a closed search by law. We will lead a closed search and not need to make a determination on whether or not we plan to do a closed or open search. Am I interpreting that correctly?
That is exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gatchell.
Okay.
Any other questions on the timelines? Any other dates that are conflicting? Anything needs to be changed?
Madam Chair? If
Yes, Ms. Daisy?
If there are no questions or changes, I would ask that we take a 10-minute break
Yep.
if we could.
Break. We're going to take a 10-minute break. next step in this meeting process.
Right, thank you. So, I will get the timelines, back to you, just as soon as I can get those corrections made and send it back over to you. And, I wanna, skip ahead, if you don't mind. It's gonna be easier for me, if we could, to go ahead and, to identify the point of contact for the district. Could we talk about that just for just a minute?
Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay. So generally, points of contacts can be anyone that you feel comfortable with passing information back and forth. The point of contact from our standpoint is a conduit, someone that we can pass all of our information to that one person, and that one person distribute it to all board members or to the board president, and let the board president distribute however you choose to do that. But we don't suggest that we're talking to everyone or we're sending everything to everybody. We want to send it to that person, and phone conversations, updates, anything to that one person. Generally, it can be, in Cumberland County, it was their board attorney, who was on staff, by the way. We've had board chairmans or presidents that we would communicate with, or it could be an administrative staff person, or someone in the central office that you feel. It could be the PR person. It could be a number of people. So we're not picky about that. It's just someone that we can communicate well with.
I would suggest that we appoint Ms. Wagner as our point of contact, but I'm open to any.
I would be concerned about her workload level already, and we need to speak with Mr. Stout about that, don't we? Chain of command.
I have thought about that, and I actually I inquired with Ms. Wagner to find out if she thought also that it would be appropriate and if she would have the time and capacity to do that. She says yes. I think it also fits with the fact that she is our information officer for the district, and she can promptly and communicate with the board, and so I'm open to suggestions, but
Madam
Yes.
Chair,
sure.
I think Ms. Wagner is appropriate to communicate with us and the public. I would agree with that.
yeah,
Yes, Mr.
I
Kirkman.
would say the same thing. I think that, thank you if you would do that, because she's already interacting with everyone. Folks know her, and that's who they'll go to for updates and information, and make it a lot concise across the board for things.
Don't believe we have to take any formal measures in doing that, so we're just identifying Ms. Jennifer Wagner as our point of contact for this search process. Thank you, Ms. Wagner.
Thank you. That's very helpful to know who that person is. And so next, identifying the appropriate stakeholder groups. We've had some discussion around that already, but do you want to narrow that down, or do you want us to just send a proposal as to what we think they should? And it's up to you, however you want to do that. I mean, generally, it's, again, those that I've already mentioned, plus community groups, but we can put a schedule around that and send it back over. Any group we left out that you can think of?
Are there any suggested groups? And I guess I would also just say that just because there may be a stakeholder or a couple of stakeholders, it might not necessarily mean that we try to accommodate them with the stakeholder in-person group. That's the purpose of the survey, and I would think it's incumbent upon this board that when that survey is made available, that we are doing our part to share it and get feedback on it. So, yes, Ms. Stacy.
So I would add that I think Ms. Wagner is perfectly positioned to help with this because we just completed our strategic plan last spring, and many, many different stakeholder groups were consulted and were participants in that process over a number of different days. So I would think that we can actually produce a list of the folks who personally were involved in that and might be more inclined to actually show up at these various sessions, so we actually get better attendance. So I think that would be an excellent place for us to start in kind of helping you with a list to use.
Thank you. Just to be clear, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, we don't reach out to those groups. That's internal for you, Ms. Wagner, or whomever, to reach out to those individuals, however you do that, by email, phone, whatever, to invite them to come to the meeting. Once we've established when the times are and what the group is, and then for someone in your district to reach out and invite them to those meetings. Thank you for that.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I would like
Ms.
to
Gibbs?
suggest that we ensure that we have a representative from the county commissioners and maybe aldermen or, government. I know he mentioned government, but I want to include them.
So, Ms. Mason, do you have something? No.
I did, but I was just going to say, when you interview the principals and the teachers, to include the support staff as well.
We can have a classified staff time also.
Right.
Used to.
Again, so the stakeholder sessions will be offered at different times, and there probably will be opportunities for people if they want to participate in those. And then I can't stress enough that the online survey is going to ask the same questions, and so we really need to, I think as board members, communicate that the best that we can and get feedback the best that we can. Yes, Ms. Kitzinger?
And I'm sorry if I might have missed this information, but the stakeholder groups that we're having, can you explain to me exactly what those are going to look like? Because what you just said in this little discussion right here about meeting with the principals and the support staff and the classified staff, it sounded to me as if they were going to be separate. Is it not going to be all-encompassing? Is not everybody going to meet all together? No.
We do those individually.
And that's just the staff, but all of the stakeholders from the public, like the parents and the actual community people, did those people meet you together?
It can be all-encompassing from all parts of the county at one time, or we could maybe have two different ones. We possibly could have three, but there's only so many time slots during the day.
Right.
So we'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning, let's say. We go to 8:45 as meeting number one. Let's say that's with the principals. I don't know. Second meeting would be with the teachers. Probably not, because principals can get out of their buildings easier than teachers can. So teachers are generally at the end of the day after school is out. So during the day, meet with central office staff, or it could be a community group or whatever. So we can structure that. So we're trying to cover as much territory as we possibly can, but they're each going to have basically a 1 hour time slot.
Okay. Thank you.
That's fine.
And
Thank
in
you.
addition to that, the community meetings, if we have time, we could parse out a time for the Chamber of Commerce only, or a time for religious leaders, if we have time.
Dr. Carroll, did you say that you also have kind of a proposed group of stakeholders that y'all could share with us? Not the actual names, but typical groups of stakeholders that we're trying, I don't know, as we're trying to kind of figure out who those are, or?
Generally, it's teachers, administrators, meaning the administrators out in the schools, be it principals or assistant principals, whoever the district chooses to send. We meet with students. We met with elementary students. We've met with high school students. Their perspectives are really interesting. That's what we're here for, right? Why not ask them what's going on in the district? So we've had students. We've had county commission or government leaders, even state leaders are invited if you want to do that. And we probably would just have one slot for governmental officials and have them come in, whatever their level is. They're interesting. They're an interesting group as well. So that's just a few parents. You certainly want to hear what parents have to say, whether that's a specific meeting for, you could possibly invite PTA presidents from each of the schools to come in during a particular time slot. Or you could, if you don't want to do that, they could just come to the community. So we're not trying to tell you who that should be. We want you to tell us who that should be, and then we'll just we'll work with Jennifer to get that filled in on a slot so you can see what it looks like.
Ms. Gibbs?
I was just wondering, do you have a number that you would like to keep the groups to? If you have too many, everyone can't speak, so is there a general rule of numbers?
In a district this size, I would say probably 20 to 25 would be about as many as you'd want in the room. Of course, with the community groups, you never know. I mean, we've had community groups I've had as large as 200 in an auditorium, and I've had 2 people sitting in front of me. I was told, my community's going to show up for this. My community's going to show up. They want to have input. They want to be here. They're going to be here, and not very many people show up. So, but we still talk to them. If it's one, we still talk to that individual, whoever. I know that's a little vague, but it'll all come together when we start putting it in a format.
Yes, Ms. Kitzinger?
During these meetings, and I don't assume, like with principals and teachers and things like that, I don't think this would be necessary. More with the general public, do you at all explain exactly what a superintendent is and does so that they know what exactly they're giving you input on? Because, and I say that because, and I don't mean this to come across the wrong way, but a lot of times people don't exactly know. Unless you're in the education field, they just know that the superintendent is someone who's in charge. But who and what are they in charge of, and what are their duties? Because quite often people don't even know what the board is, and that's okay. And I think it would be very important for people to know exactly what they're doing, what they're giving input on, and I would imagine that most of the people that show up do understand in the first place. And so I just wanted to know if maybe that's some information that you share.
We generally make general statements at the beginning in our introductions of what the superintendent does, what's that position about, and even what their duties and responsibilities are. And they're general statements. We don't dig down deep into the weeds because we want them to talk, but we do make some statements, and we can make a concerted effort to do that here if that's what you think is important. Yeah.
So are we up to compensation?
If I can, on the stakeholder group,
Yes, sir.
okay if we work with Jennifer to put the framework together and plug some stakeholder groups in, send it over, you guys look at it, and you may say, well, we don't really want this one, or we do want this one, or can you add, or whatever, and we can work through that once we get that put together.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
Okay.
Vinny?
I agree, but when you work with her, could you also include how you're going to advertise it? So.
Oh yes,
No.
sure. I have that down.
And that's very important, Ms. Mason, because you want to advertise it over and over and over again. You want to, get the schedule complete early enough so that you can have repeated attempts to say, flash it on the website, send out, listservs, and ensure that you can get the people there.
And if you have the phone call, I don't know if you do, but have the phone call where individuals or parents in the community can be contacted by phone, and record a message and send it out to them. There's lots of ways to get that out, but yes, that needs to be advertised. All right, the next is salary range established. Is that something that you want to address today, discuss? We're open. We just need to know what that might be.
The one thing I would say is that state of North Carolina has some parameters. Of course, the starting point for that is based on our ADM, and our ADM happens to fall in the kind of at the lower end of the up to 25,000, from 10,000 to 25,000 students, and so I don't know. if that's something that the board is ready to talk about and try to establish firmly today. Is there feedback from the other board members on that?
I looked up the pay scale, and there's levels of superintendents 1 through 5, and there's also a range based on the advanced superintendent certificate up through a doctorate degree. That's an additional to the salary that's posted. And I agree with you, Ms. Spees. I would like to stick with the North Carolina state pay scale. And I can provide the link, I looked it up on, but it's the published state salaries for 25, 26.
That may not be something you want to narrow down today, maybe something you want to investigate a little bit more.
Yes.
And you may want it to have a wide range, and we have not published that and not put it in the advertisements that to be determined, yet I need to know a number, a range of numbers, because they're gonna ask me. You know, they're gonna ask Dr. White, well, what's the salary? And if we go, well, I don't know what the salary's gonna be, then, you know, they take that as, well, we haven't done our work that we need to do in order to narrow that down. Some districts decide to just put it out there and go, here's the range, and some districts say, let's just put to be determined, and based on, we have a statement based on qualifications and credentials and experience and degrees and all of that. And we could even put in accordance with North Carolina pay scale, if that's.
Yeah, and the range the North Carolina pay scale does is $128,724 a year for level 1. Level 5 is $162,492 with compensation range of $1,512 to $3,036.
I don't feel like we have to go through that level of granularity for the job posting, but I understand the applicants will be interested probably in roundabout what the job pays. So today it seems that our board maybe doesn't have a decision on what that pay scale range would be, but I think to allow us to go ahead with the job posting, if you could use a statement in accordance with the North Carolina DPI pay scale and all of those things.
Okay.
Did you have something, Ms. Stacy?
I do have one sort of clarifying question. I presume that we are all in agreement that we do want a candidate who has a PhD from an accredited institution. That is, I hope, goes without saying. I do. And then, of course, eligibility for a North Carolina superintendent licensure, you know, by the start date would obviously be pretty important.
I disagree with the doctorate, because I know people with loads of masters, because they're not into the theoretical research, they're into the application research that might be qualified. So a doctorate to me is not that important, but I do agree with Ms. Stacy on the licensure.
We can also put a statement in there, and that's, you know, those credentials and characteristics and qualifications is something that we can put doctorate preferred, but not required. Just doctorate preferred means, you know, if you got it, great. If you don't, it doesn't mean you can't apply for the job. That's something the board will have to determine. If you have someone who comes in and wows you and they don't have a doctorate, are you going to hire them, or are you going to hire someone else who has a doctorate? So that's, you have to decide that, but we can put a statement in there that covers, is all encompassing.
I'm in agreement with Ms. Mason. I personally do not have a preference of whether or not the person has a doctoral degree or not, if they're the right candidate with the right skill set. But certainly by law, they need to have a superintendent's license or the ability to obtain one.
Generally, and I'm going to say generally, but most states, if you are certified in Alabama, if I'm certified in Alabama and I come to North Carolina, it's reciprocal. They're going to, you know, provide. I might have to take a course or something, or a some kind of training or something. But they generally, it's not an issue to get that transferred over.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Ms. Gibbs.
I noticed a look of concern on your faces when we mentioned just stick with the North Carolina scale. Would it be possible for you to suggest to us what you think is appropriate?
Maybe not. I have to be honest. The high number that you read off of the scale surprised me just a little. I think that's low. I think that's low based on. Then we need to look at that. Look at all the salaries of superintendents in North Carolina, or you need to look at that and make a determination as to where do you think you rank and where do you fall, and is this high enough or not? And what happens if it's too low? You're going to get some candidates say, I was interested in that job. I think I could do a great job. I'm really good at accountability. I'm really good at budget and finance, and I have run a good school system, but I'd take a pay cut to go over there. You know, I would like to have that job. I'd like to apply for that job, but the salary's not where it needs to be. So, you know, and this isn't anything. If you want to attract the very best people that are out there and you want them to apply for the job, they're not going to take a pay cut to do that.
Yes, Ms. Kitzinger.
What's a typical supplement for a superintendent? Or do most counties not give a supplement to a superintendent, or if they do, what would it be?
Are you talking about salary?
Yes, a local salary supplement.
I'm not familiar with that many, but I know they range anywhere from, well, I hate to even start, because somebody will rebuttal anything that I say, but they go up to about 400,000 for some of the larger districts.
Stacy?
So I presume then that I would take your comments to mean that to some extent you get what you pay for,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Any other comments right now on the salary provision for this? So I am going to suggest that we take that offline and try to develop a salary range.
And let me again say, that doesn't have to be published in our ad, but we
I
need
know
to
it's
know.
helpful. I know,
Yeah,
yes.
we need to know
yes,
because
yes,
that will make a determination for some people whether they apply or not.
yes. Mm-hmm.
And one small thing, you might see a lot of this, especially with education. Most will have an EDD instead of a PhD. So that's a small thing, but you might see more of that than it's still a doctorate, but it's an educator's doctorate.
Are there any other orders of business?
I think we've covered everything that's on our agenda, except any additional questions or thoughts that you might have that would be helpful to us as we continue to pull all of this together. I know we've thrown a lot at you today, and it's a lot of decisions that have to be made very quickly. Like I said, once those decisions are made, we get that out, get it back, everything's approved and ready to go. Then things slow down, but for right now, there's a lot that still needs to be done.
Mr. Gatchell, do we need to go into closed session?
There's no need, unless you need my legal advice in closed.
No closed session, yep. Okay. So I just want to restate some decisions that I think were made today. So we've said that September 25th will be the date for the in-person stakeholder interviews, or, you know, the sessions with people in person. And the survey, the online survey, will that come before or after? That's after, the day after.
The day after we launch.
For about a week.
That's right.
Okay. So, and then again, when we get that online survey, the board members and all your people, we want to make sure we're pushing that out to the community. We have identified Ms. Jennifer Wagner, who is our public information officer, to also be our point of contact for the superintendent search. And we have reviewed and established some timelines for the superintendent search. And some of these could change if I guess if you run into some hiccups in between, or if something happens where we don't want to formally host activities on the search during our board meeting dates. And on that note, in October, during our October work session, which is October 14th, the board has said that we would like to add to our agenda for that month a review of the stakeholder input that will be provided to Dr. Carroll and Dr. White. So we'll do that during our work session, and the public will be able to see that. And we are looking to, so we've all provided characteristics of the ideal superintendent candidate, and Dr. White and Dr. Carroll will take that back and try to formulate a listing description for us so that we can get the job posted by September 4th. And I think that's the last of the big ones. The only open point is establishing the compensation parameters, and this board will take that to task to do that. Did I miss any important things? We did also identify the advertising venues, and at the recommendation of our board, we would also like Dr. Carroll and Dr. White to see about the costs for advertising more locally as well. Anything from the rest of the board? Yes, Ms. Daisy?
I just want to thank you all for helping us get this process started. I think you made this very, very easy today for us, and we were able to make some important decisions. And I just want to speak, since it's the second day of school for our students, I want to speak for just a moment to our school leaders who are watching, perhaps not now, but maybe later, and just thank them for all of their work at the school level. They're doing a fantastic job, and I just want to thank them for focusing on that work. That's
there. Yes, Mr. Gatchell.
I would just remind folks, special called meeting.
Yes, yes. Are there any other comments related to the topic of the special called meeting, which is the superintendent search? Dr. White and Dr. Carroll, do you have any other information for us today?
That's all we have. I just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be here on behalf of McPherson Jackson. We look forward to working with you. You're going to think we're going to disappear for a while, but we're working. I promise you, we're out there working and doing everything we can to possibly find the best candidates for your position. Dr. White?
Thank you all.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here with us today, and we are also looking forward to working with you and with this process. And if there is nothing else on the topic of the special called meeting, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the special called meeting. Yes, is this a motion?
I'll make a motion, but I also want to say have safe travels back.
Thank you.
Okay. Is that a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
A motion to adjourn the meeting from Ms. Mason. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second for Mr. Kirkman. All those in favor, please signify by the raising of your right hand. That is 7 for 7, Ms. Nelder. Thank you. Special called meeting is adjourned.